is Jose from stampingdough.com, and today I'm going to show you another creative background. For this card, I used the really cute Freezin Fun stamp set, and he's got these cute little characters, some really fun sayings, and some great accessories that you can use on your cards. So for this one, I decided to use the cute little penguin, and he's throwing some snowballs. So let me show you how to do this background. I'm going to pull in just a towel here so that I don't get my paper all wet. And one of my large Stampin' Blocks, my Just Jade stamp pad, and then this is half of a piece of watercolor paper. So our watercolor paper comes in 5x7 and they come 10 to a package. So I just cut it in half, so that actually gets me 20 fronts. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to use my little Stampin' Spritzer. Has water inside, and it gives a really fine mist. And I'm just going to add, actually I'm going to do this side. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of water on it. You could use your water painter too to do this, but I have this handy. Now I'm going to take my ink pad. I'm going to just put it down onto my big block. Just press it down. Okay, so now I can take my Stampin' Spritzer again, and I just want that water to make the colors kind of go together and start to kind of make these little edging. There's a little bit more needed, I think, on this side, so that when I pick up the color with my paper, it's going to look kind of a varying different colors. So I'm going to put that on, and I'm just going to give it a nice pressure. I don't want it to be perfect. I just kind of want it to go wherever it wants to go, which is why I want it to have a little bit more water on there so it can spread. Now, depending on how much I put on, it gets it a little lighter or a little darker. I think I might want to add a little bit more. There we go. And if you find that you're getting these little things near the edges, you can take a paper towel, or I'm actually just going to use my towel on this one, and just clean up those edges a tiny bit. So otherwise it's just going to give you like a solid line. And then you can go back if you find that it's kind of becoming a little bit too much one color. You can go back and add a bit more color with whatever is left onto your block. Or you can add more color on here and keep going. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. Good. Now, if you want to add some water spots, you can actually create some water spots. This is just my water painter. And then it'll just dry a little bit differently. I think I'm going to take my heat tool at this point. I'm going to heat it, and then I'm going to come play with the background a little bit more. All right, so now that I've dried that a little bit, I'm actually not worrying too much about how my edges are looking, because for this card, I actually took one of my stitched rectangle dies and cut it out. So I really kind of want a portion in the middle that I like. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more water and maybe grab a little bit more of that. And you can dab on there, or you can take it direct and just start adding some of those specks of color on there till you like how it's getting. Okay. I love the darker and the lighter spots together. I can add a little bit of some spots here, which will make it a little bit lighter. Just have fun and play with it. The other thing that I like to do too is go back and just get some of that darker color and get some specks going on it. Now I found this one, especially on this one, it turned out a little bit darker than my original one. And so I could take, this is the Just Jade, which is a lighter color, so I could take something like Mossy Meadow and add some specks with that one too. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. I'll cut it out to show you how it looks better once it's nice and cut out. Okay, so I ended up using my Mossy Meadow ink pad, just adding a little bit to the corner of my block, and then taking my water painter and just doing some speckles like I showed you before. And I cut it out using my stitched rectangle, so you can see they have those little stitch marks and they cut out. It's a great, if you're looking for something fun to put on your cards, this is the stitched rectangle dies, and they come in lots of different sizes. So for the card, I'm not gonna fight with that. So for the card, I basically just used the smaller one, and then I used a bigger one to do my layer. Now you can see I did a snow hill here. So how I did that is I took a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and with the Freezin Fun dies, it comes with this little die that does this fun little swirl curved piece, and it cuts it out. So I took a piece of like my Whisper White, I cut it out like this, okay, and then I took, you could do it either way. You can cut out your rectangle first and then cut out your swerve like this, or you can do it the opposite, which is what I did. So I just cut out a swerve, and then I took my same die, cut it out so that it had those stitched marks. So you can see it has the stitch marks on top and then on the sides as well. So I just added that. I used my Stampin' Blends to color my penguin and my tree and my snowballs. And you can see I did some, what is it called again? I've lost my train of thought. Wink of Stella, yes, to add some glitter on top of that cute little penguin. I took some of my fine tip glue pen. I added some glue on my edges as well. When you do that though, you want to let it dry for a good hour. Now you can see the background that I did. They're all going to look different, but I made this one darker just to kind of show you. Whereas this one I did a really light touch when I added my ink pad to my block, and it just makes it so different. So I stamped my greeting, cut that out, and then I just added it together on the card. So I hope you enjoyed this background technique, and I will see you again soon. Thanks, bye.